Hi, this is Universal 144. Today's Sunday, the 4th, June. Yeah. I've been off work for a while, so I'm pretty sure, yeah. So, this is just going to be collective for your highest good only, what you need to know at this time for the week. Things that come up to pay attention to for your highest good only, okay? Opportunity-wise. Okay, so for some of you out there, this is not going to resonate with all, of course, right? Like everything. Geez Louise. Okay, so those of you that are this is like natural. It's not like you're gonna just like have to plan about this. But those of you that are in a position during this week where you are given the floor, so to speak, the reason for that, this could be somebody who's really just not like comfortable publicly speaking. Okay, it happens to everybody that actually end up being the best speakers, you know, because it's one of their fears. They just don't like all that attention. So it doesn't matter. It really does not matter. You know, if you stumble a little bit on your words, this and that, whatever. When you have it for like the opportunity. Let's say it's like a meeting, this and that, and they say, "Does anybody have any concerns?" And you're not saying anything, but you've told your coworkers or colleagues, whatever, that you thought about something that would really be nice to implement, and now you have the chance, and so your coworkers are calling you out. Now, other situation could be like, you know, your friend group, this and that, they're calling you out and saying, well, you had a great, you know, idea about this. Why don't you talk about it in front of just people at the bonfire, you know? Like, you're I don't know. And you're kind of like, oh, don't put me on the spot. Well, guess what? It's good to be put on the spot. It's natural that way. I find that people who, and I went to this veterans memorial service, and they had like all the politicians and stuff, like, you know, the mayor and governor and all this crap, you know. The people who had a written speech that were reading and were not speaking from the heart, nobody felt that in the audience. It was the people from representatives' offices that actually spoke, okay? Like, didn't have something on the teleprompter, didn't have something to sit there and read. Those people who spoke truth, like everybody could feel it. They had the biggest round of applause, okay? They made the most impact in their speech, okay? Do you think that you really need to like go over everything with a fine tooth comb when it's just natural there? You know, you do the best when you don't have a script. Right? Because you're going off of energy, just as long as you're clear when you're speaking. So, basically, through experience, mosquitoes. Through experience, you'll have something to lead off in. It doesn't matter, like I told you. I get dyslexic all the time. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but it took me a long time to even speak, okay? Like, I wasn't talking when I was a little kid. Like, they thought something was wrong with me. Well, there was a lot, I'm sure. But it wasn't that I was, you know, special. I just didn't talk. So, so I still go back to that when I'm speaking a little bit too quickly. But this doesn't matter. When you get the opportunity and people really do want to, you know, hear your input, just say something. You know, even if it starts out real, like, weird and stuff, it's building you to the point where later on it's just going to be another thing. Do you think anybody, you know, for those of you who are like sports fans and stuff, do you think anybody who is a high paid athlete in any sports, and they're like the star of the show and stuff, that they just like walked onto the field and like started playing like that? No. Practice, okay? So whenever, and this doesn't have to be speaking, but when you get an opportunity to have the floor or speak something or contribute something in a group setting, no matter how big or small, whether it's an office meeting that's really tight-knit small, or whether it's like a huddle at work, you know, hey, before we go out to the floor or whatever, like let's all talk about some stuff that's gonna happen today, or whether it's, you know, just getting around with friends at a bonfire, you know, that type of setting. It doesn't matter what setting. This is building you, right? The things that you're saying is going to do something highly valuable. Not just valuable, but good if you continue with it. Because I think what you have done is put yourself in the background and thought that you were unimportant. So it's just like, you know, the things that like happened this last weekend. Found a bunch of earthworms and stuff. Okay, I was helping my grandma clean her property, and I looked up like the shamanic earthworm medicine. Okay, it's a thing I do, animal totem stuff, and it teaches you a lot. Okay, and then like today before I went back to my grandma's, I was like, I called my girlfriend and I was like, hey, I got a bunch of earthworms like for the garden and stuff, because I like know what they do. And also they get this enzyme, it's EFE, it's an enzyme that they put into medication for people with blood disorders and stuff. But anyway, so I went way far with that rabbit hole for the medical aspect of it. But I looked up, you know, the basic, you know, characteristics of the shamanistic, you know, spirit totem. And she's like, dude, she's like, I got this little mallard duck, okay, and all it eats is, the only thing it's eaten is earthworms and stuff. It's this baby thing. I'll upload baby. And she calls it Sweetheart. That's its name. I was like, okay, you want me to get some worms? And she's like, yeah. So, huge box of worms after the end of the day. Like, I brought them over. But it's like those, like, little connections. It's like a process. Like, but the earthworm spirit totem basically is like the workers that have always been, like, behind the scenes. Okay, that do the most, right? So you're basically being called to the forefront here, right? To speak, you know, like you can't be sitting there like under the ground all the time. Your job is so valuable, you know so many things. Like, how long are you going to continue to do that? And it's great if you're comfortable doing that. But when you have the opportunity to express something that's really good for, you know, the highest good of the group, that will move the group forward, okay, and problem solve instead of create problems, okay, then I think that you should start speaking more. Okay, everybody has like a piece of the puzzle here, but I think the people that have been controlling the puzzle being put together need to step off the podium. Okay, kind of like what I was talking about with you know, everybody's speeches at that memorial service, the ones that have been in office forever, that don't step down, you know. Lisa Murkowski, for an example, okay? A lot of people like her, a lot of people don't. I mean, what change have we seen? You know, should there be a limit? You know, everybody has their time, right? So now, basically, this week is showing you that, well, it's telling you, what I'm channeling is it's your time now, okay? To speak up, and you don't want to wait for it to come back around. If you have something highly valuable, you're supported no matter what. I don't know if you guys know this either, but Elon Musk, okay, which a lot of people don't like and a lot of people do, okay, he has a very difficult moment before he publicly speaks. It's his biggest anxiety to get up there and do the speeches for people who graduate, who are studying like aerospace stuff, engineering, and all those things. But he was constantly put into that situation and invited to those graduations to speak. And if you listen to him, he sounds like crap. Like I sound like crap all the time too. Putting a thought form too, you know, it's that, you know, nervousness, right? And then sometimes information comes so quick, it just sounds like shit. But the thing is, he faces that fear every time that he gets up there, because he knows what he has to say is going to highly influence all those students in a positive way, and maybe inspire some of them, you know, in a really good way, right? And, you know, he doesn't think he's any big of a deal, but maybe somebody in that audience will get something of what he says and run with it, you know? So there's that. Like, he has the biggest fear of public speaking, yet he still does it, and he's started to master it. He's still a very shy person. He's an introvert, you know, which is really just really smart. right? And it's not all the time. People think that, I'm not even going to get into that rabbit hole. But the thing is, sometimes it's very difficult for people who think all the time about a lot to get up and put everything together, right? But when you have the opportunity in small steps here, in a environment that you've been around for a long time, you start making the pathway for you to do it in a greater way, on a greater scale. Okay. Whew, okay, that's all I have.